Alright, grab your talisman because there's a lot to explain. From Tabitha and Jim's intense argument, to the shocking revelation about Fatima's pregnancy, and Victor and Henry's dangerous mission into the tunnels. The title Scar Tissue seems perfect, relevant given all the emotional and physical wounds being explored in this episode. Because it's not just about the physical wounds, it's also hidden in every character internally. Tabitha and Jim, their marriage is one big scar, reopened by that brutal late-night fight. Randall dealing with his scar from the monster attack, but it's these psychological scars that are really messing with him. Then there's Fatima, talk about emotional scars. Finding out there's no baby on that ultrasound but something else growing inside her. That's going to leave some serious scars. Victor and Henry in those tunnels, they're reopening old wounds. Victor's trying to get Jasper back, Henry watching how his son faced all of those horrors. It's just like seeing injuries or scars that never really healed. Welcome to this video, my name is Christian from Being Premiere. Grab your talisman and let's begin. So we need to start with the ending of this episode. Let's break down that mind-bending ending because the show's rewriting everything we thought we knew about Tabitha. She's hit with this memory that changes a lot of things. She says the following.
It wasn't just Miranda. I saw this place too.
But these were not just random nightmares. When she asked Jade about those 3 red stones, something clicks. Because as she said, it was not just Miranda. She saw this place too. And as she said, she didn't know it. This is not just some deja vu. This is a full-on past, live memories bubbling up. I mean, think about it. Miranda had visions of Fromville before she arrived. She painted those stones, the lighthouse, the children. Now Tabitha remembering, she saw the same thing as a kid. That's not just a coincidence, that's confirmation for the big reincarnation theory that Tabitha is not just connected to Miranda, she is Miranda reborn. And this connects straight back to those kids chanting and queuing in her house. They're not just appearing to anyone, they're appearing to the same soul that's been trying to help them. First as Miranda, now as Tabitha. But here's the real part of it. If Tabitha's Miranda reborn, then her escape and return might be part of a bigger cycle. Save the children. Now Tabitha's back with all these memories building up, and those same children are calling out to her. The boy in white and the children are not just messing with Tabitha, it's been waiting for this version of Miranda's soul to finally figure it out. Those nightmares were not warnings, they were memories trying to help her for this moment. So Miranda arrived or died in 1978. Now Tabitha shows up. It's like there's 2 versions of the same soul trying to solve the same puzzle. And the kids showing up in Tabitha's house, they're not trying to scare her, like Jade said. They're trying to help her help them.
They want your help, right?
I don't know.
Now let's discuss into this rabbit hole of puzzle pieces because Jade finally is bringing some theories to life. The scene starts actually with him trying to convince Boyd.
How I ended up near a hiking trail in Camden, Maine.
Classic Jade, right? But Boyd is not having any of the signs of babble. What's interesting about all of this is when Jade drops the line about Miranda being the only one who had a connection before arriving. Little does he know he's sitting on a bigger reality than he realized. While he's talking about dimensional rift, the real connection is right under his nose. Then Boyd mentions that second bottle he found with Sarah. His obsession is not just about solving a puzzle anymore. It's about connecting dots. When he noticed that 1864 that Boyd found matching the number on his wall, that's when everything starts clicking. So when Jade goes out to find his second tree, who shows up? None other than Dead Tom, dropping words and meaning like nature has a design. And that is not nature. It's like the town is giving Jade hints, but in its own twisted way. When Tom calls him out about being drunk looking for answers in a tree filled with bottles. So funny. And his response, maybe that's your problem. It's like 2 sides of Fromville, nature, battling it out. Order versus chaos. Design versus accident.
Nature has a design, Jade, and that is not nature.
But when he says this means Tom, he's confirming something huge. These bottle trees are not random, they're not natural, maybe signposts, maybe even warnings left by previous cycles of souls trapped in Fromville. And when Dead Tom brings up Jade's other visions, the Civil War soldier, the guy crushed by the rock, he's pushing Jade to question everything he thinks he knows, but he's not having it.
Listen, those were different.
He knows there's something special about these trees, something that connected Miranda to everything that's going on. So the way Tom vanished after telling Jade to sober up and give that guy a call. The guy who built a multi-million-dollar company. I don't know, I don't think that Tom is good. Well, the vision of this, it's like he's trying to manipulate Jade to discover more of it, and by doing so, something bad is going to happen. And later, when Jade's starting to doubt himself, who shows up at the bar than Tabitha and Ethan, finding proof that this trees mean something. The same Tabitha who, going from the reincarnation theory, shares Miranda's soul. It's like something is orchestrating this whole thing, bringing together the one person who can solve the puzzle with the one person who might be the key to the whole mystery. Now, moving into Victor and Henry's terrifying journey into those tunnels, those caves, because this is not just a father-son bonding trip. Henry is seeing how the town messed up badly to Victor's mind since the beginning, all the horrors Victor has lived. And boy, it doesn't go sideways. Victor got those little green army men, dropping them like a navigation system. But it's what they find that's really interesting. Those monsters sleeping in the tunnels, that's bad enough. But when one of them says,
"If you keep coming down here, one of these days, we'll make you stay."
because as we know, the monsters are not just killing machines, they're psychologically breaking their victims, even having something of Miranda. I have a theory about this. It's cruel, even Henry finding this. And also, Jasper being moved, but why? This means someone or something is rearranging things in those tunnels. The monsters are actually organizing their trophies, including Miranda's stuff. It's like they're building some twisted museum of everyone they have taken. And Henry, his reaction to all of this is heartbreaking. And now he's watching Victor, obsessed over a dummy that supposedly holds the secret to saving everyone. When Victor says,
For a story about this place once, and we have to make him tell it again.
you know, his face says it all. He's realizing just how deep his son trauma goes. This whole tunnel sequence is not just about Jasper, it's also about the town and how their characters are trapped, not just physically but mentally. Now, I think the town or the monsters keep all of that stuff in the caves, so when Jade or Tabitha don't remember their past life, the reason why Tabitha touched the luggage back in season 2, and the reason Jasper is in the caves because maybe they're gonna remember.
What if this theory of yours is wrong?
Hey, that's my theory. Even the scene with Victor and Henry is a quiet moment, but it's also packed with emotion. Victor brings Henry to his hideout, a place where he used to escape. It's like a glimpse into his past, a reminder of the isolation he had to endure as a child for many, many years.
Hide in here?
I feel like Victor is adapting his trauma, his pain to that Jasper. I don't think Jasper is the source of this. Victor believed that Jasper holds the key to saving everyone. It's heartbreaking and terrifying. Maybe he's holding to a childhood comfort. This Jasper, like, it's a lifeline. But moving from that theory into one of the big scars in this episode, and that is that late night confrontation between Tabitha and Jim. Because wow, this fight is really deep. It starts with a nightmare, but it then goes into something way darker. It's not the first time that she has a nightmare. Back in season 1 when she had that dream of the lighthouse. But she says, I should have done more, and Jim's attempt to help her backfire when she says, you keep saying stuff that is not true, just so I feel better. You can see the year's worth of tension about to explode. Then it happens. Jim throws out that bomb about her running away, and Tabitha hits back. The way they're talking past each other, neither is really listening. It's brutal and it's such a nice scene. Then Jim brings up Thomas dead and the divorce. That's when we see the real scar. Every word is like a knife, showing how differently they each handle their grief. And Julie overhearing all of this when she says, pretty sure people in Colony House heard. The following morning, it tells us that it's not just about Tabitha and Jim anymore. Their private pain is becoming public. And in a place like Fromville, that's dangerous. I mean, the monster is screaming outside during their fight. That's perfect timing. It's like even From itself is celebrating to their pain, reacting from their wounded egos, creating a cycle of blame, defensiveness, and emotional distance. But maybe that's what the town does. It finds their deepest scars and makes them hurt all over again. This conversation is a perfect example of a relationship on the brink of collapse. It's a mess of resentment, miscommunication, and unhealed scars that are driving a path between Tabitha and Jim. And speaking of pain bleeding out, this fight sends ripples through the whole family. That scene with Julie and Tabitha the next morning is also filled with tension. When Julie hears Tabitha, she's calling out how this family trauma is repeating itself. Jim running off to the lake after their fight is just another version of him throwing himself into work to avoid dealing with their problems. But what really hits home is Julie's line.
Glad some things are finally getting back to normal.
Julie's been through this dance before. The fights, the makeups, the explanations. When she says, I'm just glad some things are finally getting back to normal. That's pure acid, because what's normal for this family? Pain, avoidance, and silence. And poor Ethan is stuck in the middle of all of this. Because Ethan is also basically saying the horror and the monsters was better than watching his family fall apart. The Matthews family drama is not just about marriage in crisis anymore. It's about how trauma ripples through generations, how kids have to learn to navigate their parents' pain. And I think this is going to be important in episodes ahead. And just when you think this family drama cannot even get more twisted, those creepy kids show up chanting on Kiwi. Because Tabitha and Ethan's quiet moment gets shattered by this invasion. And what's really messed up? Right after this terrifying encounter, what does Tabitha do? He runs to Jade to help with this bottle tree puzzle. It's like she's searching for answers, trying to understand why her family keeps getting targeted. The way Jade welcomes Ethan into his investigation is interesting too. It's like he's offering the kid something his parents cannot right now. Stability, purpose, maybe even a distraction from all the chaos at home. When Jade says,
You like puzzles, buddy?
Yeah.
it's such a normal moment in the middle of all of this chaos. But this is not just about solving puzzles anymore. When Tabitha reveals she had nightmares about their 3 red stones, everything changes. Now, this suggests that Tabitha's connection to Fromville goes way deeper than we thought. So let's go ahead and bring some of this puzzle together. So far, we got 2 identical bottle trees, matching numbers, but they're written differently. One in regular numbers, one in cursive. And here's what the trees might be telling us. 1864, which is when Boyd found that note in the first season with Sarah. We also got numbers showing up backwards, especially 7 and 2s. Then there's this pattern Jade and Ethan notice. It's like someone wants these numbers to be found in a specific way. And the numbers might be tracking different cycles, maybe different attempts. They have a meaning, but what? The full list of numbers. What other dates are hanging in those bottles? Was the pattern between normal and backward numbers? We might see it's not just about when things happen. And don't forget, Boyd and Sarah found that first bottle tree. Then Sarah had that female voice he never heard before.
Are things out here that are worse than the monsters?
Boyd, there is something out there. Something different.
Out of the forest at night did this. They're just the tip of the spear.
What if these trees are not just marking time, but maybe there's some kind of communication system between different people and different cycles? And the way Jade is documenting everything, writing the numbers on both sides of the paper, I love that he's trying to find the pattern. Hopefully isn't soon. Because in this series, patterns are not just coincidence, they're messages. And the bottle trees, they might be the town twisted way of keeping score. Remember that song by the Pilots, Message in a Bottle? I see it here. Here's the huge part of this theory. What if every attempt to save those kids, every cycle of Miranda, Tabitha's soul, has been leading up to this moment? The bottle trees with numbers, the numbers, the visions, they're not just clues, they're memories. Memories of every time the soul has tried and failed to break free from the curse. But this time might be different. This time, Tabitha made it out and came back. Maybe that's what the boy in white has been waiting for. A version of the soul strong enough not just to escape, but to return and finish what she started or someone started. And something else that's keeping score is Boyd's emotional roller coaster in this episode. Because man, our sheriff is walking on eggshells everywhere he goes. First, he shows up at the clinic trying to check on Randall. And it's not even that alone that is eating him. It's also knowing that this happened to Randall. Then that chat with Christy about the ultrasound machine. There's a little bit of a hope in Boyd's eyes. Finally, something positive he can bring to the town. When he tells Ellis and Fatima about it, you can see him trying to be the leader again, trying to fix something. And even that conversation between Ellis and Fatima about the baby is so interesting, and it connects to how the episode ends. And then boom, he's now right back in another crisis with Fatima ultrasound situation. Because let's talk about that ultrasound scene, because holy moly, this is not just your normal pregnancy baby reveal. When Christy says, "I don't see anything," and we see Fatima's desperation, it's so sad. But it's what we're not seeing. And that's terrifying. The cravings for rotten food. Something's growing inside her, alright, but it's definitely not a baby. In that final Elgin photo, there's a lady in the kimono right next to Fatima in the image. When Elgin took that photo of her, the town is not just messing with her body, it's creating something. A baby. But what? Something that feeds on corruption, that grows in darkness. Even that St. L is trying to hold it for Fatima. Because when he says we need to tell them, you can hear the fear in his voice. He's been watching his wife eat rotten food, knowing something is wrong, but hoping against hope it was not this bad. Because remember when Fatima told Donna she couldn't have any children back in season 2? It is another way of the town messing with Fatima. It's like Fromville took her the deepest desire and twisted into something so horrible. Classic From move. So we know this Fatima storyline is going to be going on until episode 10, I imagine. It might be connecting to that lady in the kimono that Elgin keeps seeing, maybe two separate storylines. Because when the monster says to Elgin,
I can save you. I can save all of you.
yeah, I don't think this is right or true. Remember, Fromville always takes a lot of stuff. I have never seen the town giving to the characters. For example, the voices like Sarah. So yes, I feel that this lady in the kimono is going to be using Elgin. But for what? Now moving also into the trauma of Kenny. Even Kenny moving out of his mom's house. That's a scar that's still fresh. When he says the house doesn't feel like home anymore, that hits hard. Every character in this episode is dealing with their own version of a scar tissue. And Kenny, because he has been going through so much, he's lost his mom. His home feels empty. And even that scene where he's looking for the screwdriver in his mom's kitchen, old kitchen, it's more than just a simple thing. It's like he's looking for something that he has lost. His mom, his dad. The house is silent, but the memories are heavy, and Kenny is clearly struggling. Then he finds Julie offering a bit of comfort and offering some green. It shows about how the shared grief in this town. Everyone lost something, everyone's hurting, and these little moments of connection are the only things keeping them alive. But it's also how Kenny looks at the memorial. That's the real heartbreak. This house, the place that held a lot of memories, all his love, is empty now. It's a symbol of everything Fromville has taken from him, and is the reason why he goes to Donna to move to Colony House. It's not just about finding a new place to live, it's about finding a new family. He's seeking connection. It's not just about fighting monsters, it's about finding his own tribe, with living with new people, which also shows in my favorite duos this season, and that is Randall and Mariel, because it's a masterclass in how this town messes with your mind. Randall is a mess, physically and emotionally, and Mariel is trying to be the voice of reason, but even she's starting to doubt what's real. So Randall has a scar, an actual reminder of how he lived and encounter those monsters. But it's also these psychological wounds that are really interesting, because for example, when he says, "What the F is real anymore?" you can see how he's not just questioning his sanity, he's questioning the very nature of Fromville. So connecting to Jade and Tom about the nature, because we can see how Mariel is trying to be a good nurse, hashing him up, offering advice and comfort, but Randall sees through it. He knows that she's terrified as he is, but she's hiding it. We can see how Randall is calling her out, forcing her to deal also with the shared trauma that binds them together, the same scar tissue. But why is this important? Well, because it shows how human beings in this town are dealing with their own trauma in their own ways. Like Mariel, continue with her life, like trying to find meaning, while others deal with the green to forget and numb the pain, while also Randall accepting and finding like the meaning of why it happened. And it's a nice reason why Mariel offers Randall to live in the clinic. It's a lifeline, a chance of finding peace in a way. Even later when Julie finds him moving out and they have this moment, interesting. It's like watching two broken people recognize each other's pain. They're both using the same coping mechanism as well, trying to numb themselves, so it's interesting to see. Now, another one of those scenes, and that is Donna and Tabitha at Dale's memorial. It's some heavy stuff. Donna's building this memorial in a way, and it's clear that Dale's death has hit her hard, even though she's trying to play it, even when she said,
He has some good moments, though.
But yeah, there's a sadness in her voice. But even in Fromville, people find ways to connect. And losing someone, even a pain in the, leaves a hole. The thing about this is Tabitha and how she's drowning in guilt. She's back from the outside, but with no answers, no escape route for the others. She feels like she let everyone down, especially her family, and you can see the weight of that burden crushing her. But that's the whole episode. I honestly thought there was gonna be more to it, but it was pretty simple. Not a lot happened, some moments here and there, but But okay, let's discuss real quick the next episode titled This Fragile Lives, and that is episode 7. And the title just screams Fromville. This episode could crank up the tension, the paranoia, and the weirdness of the town. Fatima's pregnancy is getting darker, and they will continue to find clues in the forest, maybe even the location of the 3 red stones. And Julie and Randall will continue on their journey, finding a little bit of normalcy. Quick, Fatima, we know that there's something wrong with her, and we know that there's a baby, and the empty ultrasound, it confirms their worst fear. There's no baby, but something is growing inside her, something major vampire vibes going by the blood. And Jade is still obsessed with the meaning of all. Now he's taking his investigation into the forest. He's following a trail of clues, those matching numbers, the symbol, Miranda's connection to the town. It's all getting closer to reality. And Julie and Randall. Now going from the image that we see, it looks like Randall and Julie are in the same place that Boyd was back in season 2. So what are they gonna discover here? Now, spoiler alert, we're gonna go ahead and discuss real quick what information we have for the 8th episode is gonna tell us something that's gonna happen in episode 7. Now, episode 8, the synopsis is the following. Accusations start flying and truth come to light in the aftermath of a tragedy. Victor struggles to recover long-buried memories about the town past. Julie and Ethan search for answers about the mysterious ruins in the woods. Oh boy. So what's gonna happen in episode 7? Well, we know someone is going to die. But who it is, that's really exciting. Because the synopsis for episode 7, the edge began to fray as concerns about Fatima's pregnancy deepen. Jade follows a clue trail into the forest, and Julie and Randall seek a bit of normalcy. Now huge spoilers for episode 9. Tensions are at an all-time high as the town residents learn that one of their own has gone missing. Who it is, that's really exciting. In episode 10 information, Boyd is pushed to his limit as time begins to run out for someone he loves. Randall is haunted by his trauma, and Victor reveals a hard truth. That unlikely journey takes a shocking turn. So Revelation chapter 1 and 2. So that's all the information that we have, all the photos for all the episodes. So what are your theories for the last few episodes? But that's a breakdown for episode 6. What are your thoughts on it? I cannot believe we're only 4 more onto the season finale. Only 4 more weeks. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Christian from Beyond Premiere, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye everyone.